Gary Holder Winfield. He's a candidate for state representative from New Haven. So guys, he is taking the plunge. He's taking the plunge and running for office. And it will be interesting if during the course of our discussion you can explain why you wanted to do that. Because a lot of people say, oh, I'd like to make a difference, but I don't want to get involved. He is not doing that. Next to him, we have Gina Calder, who is an alderwoman, again in the city of New Haven. And Gina has the distinction of being, I think you are currently the youngest African-American woman in elected office in the state of Connecticut. And to her left, we have someone who comes to work here, I was going to say every day, but not every day, but she's a state representative. It feels from today, since we're in the course of a legislative session like it's every day. Melissa Olson, she's a state representative who represents Norwich. And she came here at a relatively young age and has made a big impression here. So you have a really great panel here of people from different backgrounds doing different things, but all eager to tell you how to get involved and why you should want to get involved. So I'm going to ask each of them, I'm going to start with Melissa because I think she has a committee meeting to go to pretty soon. But you guys are aware that we're in the middle of the legislative session here. You are here at like the peak time of activity. This legislative session is a short one. It started in early February and it's going to end in early May. And all the laws that are made, it's all happening right now. So you're here at a very good time. The building's really coming. But I wondered if each of you would take just about 5 minutes. And I'm kind of a strict timekeeper because I come from the world of TV where I always had an earpiece in my ear and I'd be chatting away and I'd hear the producer saying, wrap it up now. So I'm kind of strict about time. But if you could take about 5 minutes and talk a little bit about getting involved. Our topic is getting involved, how and why, maybe what got you involved. I'll let you guys wing it because I think you already have some ideas of what you want to say. So we're going to start with Representative Olson.
Good morning, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here with you this morning. As Juby said, yes, I am Representative Melissa Olson. This is my 6th year in the legislature, my 3rd term. And Gary and Gina are going to talk about, especially Gary is going to talk about what has motivated him to enter politics. And Gina, how long have you started? 4 months. So good. We'll have a kind of newer perspective as well. I just want to touch on real briefly how I got involved. But for my thoughts today, it's more, I think, more compelling for me to speak about what keeps me coming here and what keeps me motivated in public service. How I got involved in politics, it's a pretty usual story, I think. I started volunteering on campaigns in the city of Norwich, basically out of a desire to be more connected, to be more involved in not just statewide issues, but national issues. I volunteered on Congressman Karen Easton's campaigns as well as our local state representatives and our local elected officials. It turns out that I was a very valuable volunteer. I didn't realize it, but whenever anyone asked me to make telephone calls or go door to door, I always said yes. And apparently now I know, boy, it's very difficult to find volunteers who will do that. And when the time came and when my seat opened up, I was asked to run for this seat. By trade, I'm also an attorney. I've been practicing, this is my 13th year practicing law. I think I still hold the distinction as being the youngest female elected official in the legislature. I'm sure that's not going to last for long, because of course time marches on, but at this point I think I still am. But turning more to what is kind of keeping me coming here, what is compelling about public service. And you know, I come up here, this is what I do for public service. I serve my community in the legislature as well as back in Norwich. But public service is a whole host of things that I'm sure you're involved with in your community. Public service is helping out at a homeless shelter. Public service is reading to kids in school. It's helping out your neighbors. It's shoveling the snow for one of your elderly family members. It can be anything. It can be picking up litter. And I really want to stress that public service is not just a formal kind of idea that you have to be elected to office. Public service is something that we do every single day. Speaking about one another positively, respecting one another, that's really a public service. And I think what this all kind of embodies is the fact that we all have a stake in one another. This is what compels me, this is what motivates me to come back here. We have a stake in every one of us. We all have a stake in one another. You turn to the person to your left, you turn to the person to your right, you understand that the better that you can help that person, the better that you can succeed, it helps all of us. And that's, again, what motivates me to come here. It motivates me to understand that I have a stake in every single person in Norwich, and every single person in this room, and every single person in the state of Connecticut. It's that responsibility, that duty, and obligation which keeps me really moving forward. And we don't talk about that very much. You know, we talk about, I serve on this committee and that committee, and I do this and do that, and I brought back this money for the community. But really what's so important is embodying that responsibility we have to one another, embodying that duty. And that's what I believe that's what needs to motivate us to serve one another. Without that motivation, we go astray. We forget the real purpose of public service. Therefore, anything that you do in your community for one another is public service and should be public service. Offering a shoulder to your friend when your friend needs help. Enjoying the successes with your friend when your friend has a success. That is all considered public service in my mind. That is what keeps me motivated to come back. And I would imagine each one of you, as you're here today, feels that duty and obligation. You wouldn't be here today if it didn't mean something to you. So I want to congratulate you for the public service that you have already given to us, given to your friends, given to your community. And really want to tell you that this is not some unattainable goal. Becoming a state rep is not an unattainable goal. It is not the end-all be-all. It's what you in your own person can do for one another. That to me is important public service. I've been fortunate enough to be elected. I've been fortunate enough to have this platform as my public service. And I'm able to do all sorts of things in the community because of that. But it doesn't preclude you from committing that same duty and obligation to one another. So I just want to thank you so much for being here. I would be happy to answer any questions, or if anyone wants to email me with further ideas, what have you. But I just want to leave you with that idea of we have a stake in one another. Fulfill that obligation to one another, and you will be practicing your public service. You'll be committed to one another, and I think it'll be better for us in the long run. So thank you so much, and I'm going to turn it over